This is TWiT.
So we've talked a lot about in the past, about 6.6 coming out, but the date has finally come and KDE Plasma 6.6 is released. So 6.6 brings bug fixes, new features, and a lot of stuff to make the KDE desktop even more polished. One of the first things that you'll encounter, and you might not know, is that the Plasma Login Manager. Now that you probably don't realize it because the new Login Manager looks pretty much the same as SDDM. So you're not really going to notice a whole lot of change. But the new manager is made to better support multiple monitors, HDR, keyboard layout switching, so it can be done from the Login Manager and not going into the full desktop before having to change your keyboard layout. The new manager does only support System D, which did cause some ruffling of feathers from the KAOS Linux people who said they're not going to have KDE as their default desktop because they feel they're being forced into System D. Well, that caused KDE to reply, and they said the new Plasma Login Manager is one of half a dozen or even more managers out there that can boot into Plasma, and no one's being forced anywhere. They said if you don't like System D, just use one of the other options that doesn't use it. They're not encouraging. They're not saying you should. They're saying you can, and that's as far as they took it. So they did want to stress there's still a lot of different options out there if you don't like System D. But now that we've loaded into the desktop, we used whatever bootloader we needed, and you decided you want to change your theme and play around, and now you've got the perfect setup. You got everything set the way you want it. Well, 6.6, you can now save that as your own personal theme. So you don't have to go and rearrange or anything like that. You can now take all those settings you have and just go, yep, here's my theme. So if you change anything, break anything, which is, KDE is fun to play with, so I highly encourage people to play, you just load that same theme and you're back where you were. Now, they've also improved the smoothness of animations for those out there who are running monitors with a refresh rate higher than 60 hertz. So now in moving windows, seeing composting effects, all that kind of things, the graphical magic, it should look much better and smoother because they've made improvements. Now, there's also several improvements with window edges, line separators, a ton of different visual adjustments which can be made, and looks beautiful. I'm not going into all of them because there is a lot. With 6.6, they've also reduced the memory that KDE takes by about 100 megabytes by unloading unneeded wallpapers, which are not being used. So it shrinks it down a little bit more. Not that KDE is heavyweight anymore. That was many major versions ago, but people always want lighter and smaller. Well, KDE is still going in that direction. Now, if you have an ambient light sensor on your equipment, it can now be used automatically, meaning it will make the screen brighter in bright rooms and dim when you're in darker environments, kind of like a lot of phones, for example, will do. For those of us who sometimes stream our screen, there's now the ability to hide a screen from the screen capture. So you can right-click on the title bar, select more actions, and you can find the Hide from Screencast button. So you select that, and then if you're sharing your screen, it won't show up like on, say you're using OBS or something like that. That screen that you selected won't show up on your broadcast. The window manager will now have the correct scaling when connecting to an external monitor or TV when the resolution is different. So like you plug your laptop or whatever into your 4K TV, it's going to have correct scaling now. But if it still needs to be different because something's not right, there's a tool called KScreen-Doctor, and you can create a custom mode for that display device, which is not working directly. So you can manually set it up so it's however you want it, and then it'll always load that whenever you connect that device. Now, in System Monitor, if you have more than one GPU, it's now possible to monitor them independently at the same time. So you can watch the temperature and the load and all that stuff for each GPU you have. So like you might have a discrete GPU and an internal to your CPU integrated GPU. So now you can, if you have them doing different work, you can see what kind of load and heat and all that that they have. There's also the ability in the process window to set the CPU scheduler and IO scheduler for a specific task and define the priority in each scheduler. So not only can you say, what you want, first in, first out, normal, max performance, that kind of thing. There's also a basically niceness level that you can set there as well. So that way, if there's something that's very important, you need to come first no matter what, maybe it's recording or something. Now it's possible with a few clicks in the system monitor that you can really make sure that that's got highest priority no matter what. It's also possible to choose the columns, which you see in the process tabs. So when you're seeing all your processes, you can select something called command, and then you can filter and see what's running under a certain path, like user/bin. So if you got everything running and you go, well, I wonder what's in /user/bin that's running right now, you can filter to that and see just what programs are running out of that. Now, this is such a small amount of what has changed in 6.6, and this is not covering the huge amount of bugs that they squashed. I mean, there's a ton of them. So take a look at the video in the show notes for more details of the changes. But even there, they talk about they have not covered everything. But 6.6 is, I think, a wonderful release.
Yeah, I did do the install. I have had a couple of things tell me it's crashed since I did the install, but nothing that I can see. It gave me a nice little pop-up that says Plasma has been updated to 6.6. KDE contributors has spent the last 4 months hard at work on this release. We hope you enjoy using Plasma as much as we enjoyed making it. And then they've got a little make a donation widget and a couple other things. But yeah, the Welcome Center pop-up. So
That's how safe it is.
Yeah, and only a couple of things crashed.
Upgrade in production.
You had to manually update to KDE 6.6 after updating to Fedora 43?
I mean, yes, because I've updated Fedora 43 a while ago, and 6.6 just now came out. I just ran DNF upgrade.
I just ran a regular update and got it.
Yeah. I should know this, Jeff. What distro are you running these days? Cashy OS.
Yep,
okay.
Cashy.
That makes sense.
So it's Arch, so it's
also pretty aggressive
pretty
about
fast.
getting those. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. After the show, I'll reboot into OpenSUSE and see if that's up to date on KDE 6.6.
I would bet OpenSUSE would take a little bit longer to pull it in. Would be my guess.
Tumbleweed though.
Tumbleweed might be faster. I do need to play around with this and see what it takes to get the new KDE login manager working. I think that's going to be interesting. And some of the things that they'll do with that in the future. I had installed already. I went ahead and grabbed it, but I'll have to reboot and then do some other fiddling to make it the one that actually comes up and does stuff.
I saw a really nice. Never mind, that wasn't a KDE theme.
Well, I was going to say, I think it should come up naturally in 6.6.
No. So that runs before KDE runs. That's going to be controlled by your distro.
Oh, okay. So mine went to the new one.
So
and they may have had a script in there to have it do that. So you can use, let's see, SDDM is the one that I'm using now because that's what's default in Fedora. That's the simple desktop display manager. There's also GDM, which is the GNOME display manager. There's been a couple of other ones I don't remember the name of in the past. This is a new one. I know I've always had to go in and manually, I don't remember if you run something like alternatives or if it's just disabling the one service and enabling the other. The different distros may handle that a little bit differently, but there's going to be a way to go in there and manually tell your computer which display manager you want it to use. I think we just discovered what my command line tip is going to be for next week.
Yeah, but see, I'm running Cashy, so it's running systemd, it's running Wayland, so they pretty much assume, you're going to get the new Plasma login manager.
Yeah, I've done this a couple of times because I know one of the reasons I changed it last time is because KDE had better support for SDDM, and I wanted to do things like theme it rather than just use the default used to be really ugly background and all of that stuff. I bet with the new KDE one, I don't know if you could do it yet, but probably eventually they'll support using those. Well, it's essentially screensavers. It's also the lock screen background. You can also put them in KDE. You can put them on your desktop background too. So
3D backgrounds?
Well, no, just animated backgrounds. Like they can be 3D. But I would imagine that they'll eventually make that work for the login manager too, so that you can get your fun your fun moving backgrounds.
And it wouldn't surprise me because of all of the updates they made to that one, just to handle, the scaling, the different resolutions and different monitors, the HDR, the bunch of stuff like that. To what?
Ray tracing?
That's not going to be a KDE thing.
Not directly, but
Ken is trying to segue. Ken, this segue went off the rails. The battery ran out on the segue, and the mall cop fell on his face. But
you're getting into my command line tip.
If you enjoyed this clip, be sure to check out the Untitled Linux Show. You can find us in your favorite podcasting app or subscribe to our YouTube channel down in the links below. See you there.